I'm looking at the way everyone's going in on Dylan Brooks. There's a part of me that's kind of like, are you okay? Like, are you good? Because it doesn't feel good to have the entire media harping down on you. Although you brought this on yourself, it still doesn't feel good. Green Bay fans, I feel you. I feel like this is like when you date someone for a very long time and you think you're gonna get a ring and like you're like, oh yeah, they're definitely gonna propose. And then they kind of ghost you. And you're finding out through like their cousins or like best friends that he might be dating someone else, but actually no, he just went on vacation by himself. And you're just kind of like, what is happening? I thought we were a thing. And then all of a sudden he shows up with a new person. And you're just kind of like, oh.
The quarterback position is one that's traditionally known as more of a cerebral position. And systemic racism has, put it into people's heads. Black athletes are just athletic and not able to intellectualize enough to lead a team like the quarterback does. We have a slew of quarterbacks that are not only just dual threat quarterbacks, but they are able to see the game. And I think that this is a turning of the tide.
I just asked Bud the exact same question, but I'm curious for you. Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay, do you get a promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success, And if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it, Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure. That's what you're telling me. No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, exactly. So why you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. There's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's gonna win. And this year somebody else is gonna win. Simple as that. We're gonna come back next year, try to be better, try to build good habits, try to play better, not have a 10-day stretch with playing bad basketball, and hopefully we can win a championship. So 50 years from 1971 to 2021 that we didn't win a championship, it was 50 years of failures? No, it was not. It was steps to it, and we were able to win one. Hopefully we can win another one. Sorry that I didn't want to make it personal, because you asked me the same question last year, and last year I was in the right mind space to answer the question back. But I remember it. Next.
I love it when the Greek freak turns into the Greek philosopher. Respectfully,
there are lots of them.
Nah. Respectfully, nah. Hey, listen, I appreciate, guys, Giannis's personal way of viewing success and failure and winning and losing. And I'm sure Gloria from White Men Can't Jump really appreciates him saying sometimes when you actually lose, sometimes you lose, you actually win, and sometimes when you want to lose, you actually tie, and so on and so forth. But when we can count on one hand, just about, because they're number 6, the amount of times an 8 seed has beaten a 1 seed. When you have the best record in the NBA this season, when you have the best player on your team, he missed 3 games, but you have the best player on your team, but specifically to game 5. When you have a 16-point lead entering the fourth quarter, when you are up by 4 with 10 seconds left in regulation, when you don't take a timeout at the end of regulation, when Mike Budenholzer takes 2 timeouts, when he fails to call a timeout at the end of overtime, when Grayson Allen is the last person with the ball in his hands, when you have said best player in the world on your team, when you lose to a team who has the player who I would want, I'll come back to him later, who I would want to win a game over anybody right now, Jimmy Butler. But when you lose to a team that lost its first play-in game and it was trailing in its second play-in game, that is a freaking failure. It is a failure, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And But now, is it all on Giannis? No. Oh, by the way, Michael, they also missed 13 free throws. There's no other way to slice it. It's a failure.
Okay. There is another way to slice it.
Shit happens.
Hey, you know what, Michael and Natalie, there is another way to slice it, and I'll say it this way. Both of you can come to me with a correction. You can come to me with a correction, and you can have a valid point. But if you don't come correct in your message or come correct in the way you're trying to approach me, then I'm going left, or I'm going to go off on a different point that kind of goes away from what your issue was with me or what you were trying to get out of me. So that's what happened yesterday with Giannis. He was tripped up on the word failure. Eric, I don't know who Eric is, but Eric, you asked the same question last year. He wasn't in the mind space to answer it last year.
That's a trigger
this
word.
year,
That's a trigger word.
This year, he's trying to tell you his life philosophy about situations. He happens to be a basketball player. That's his profession, Natalie. So he's going to tell you, as a basketball professional, I'm not going to win every year. And every year I don't win is not necessarily a failure. What Eric should have asked him is, how do you see this? How do you feel about this result? How do you assess this? Then we all would have gotten to what Giannis eventually said,
Sawowski.
which was
right.
Mark
Cuban.
Right.
You were Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
That the question was out of pocket.
Question was whack. He told you how he felt. Natalie, you know what he said? The Bucks were playing for a championship. The Heat were playing to beat the Bucks. He's disappointed that they're not going to win. So I agree with his big picture failure.
Life
it's not
philosophy.
Failure, it's an opportunity. Yeah. But really, he gave Eric what he was looking for. Yeah. It hurts him. That's what he wanted. Mm-hmm. He would have gotten a better answer for basketball purposes if he had just asked a better question.
Yeah, I mean, I see this pretty divided, like in terms of the way the conversation is unfolding, but I don't think there was anything wrong with his question personally. And it also elicited a great response. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking that. Do you view it like that? And these other, can we go back to those quotes from him? These other philosophical quotes from Giannis, like all the stuff that he was making, like honestly, I rolled my eyes. Like everyone was like raving over the speech. Can we go back to the Giannis quotes? Yeah. Everyone was raving about like his answer. I just rolled my eyes. Like I get it. In that moment, he's being, it was triggering for him, right? So I don't want to he was just reacting in that moment. I think when he has time to process, and it's not right in the heat of the moment after the game, you're not going to get those kinds of answers. But all this, they were counting down, looking forward to the championship, they were playing to beat us and we were playing to win a championship. I do think it's really important that he said that, because when they were making these decisions not to play Giannis in game 3, I said, okay, the Bucks are, because we saw him moving around in practice, and I don't want to say how healthy he was, but I said, this is that arrogance that sometimes, Michael, you and I have talked about that the Warriors display, but it's to me, this was them not respecting their opponent in the Miami Heat. This was them not taking them seriously enough. So you didn't put him out there till game 4, because we're just talking about.
I don't know why they wouldn't take that team of all teams. I wouldn't take that team seriously enough, but go ahead.
Exactly. So he doesn't play until game 4. They're down 2-1, because you guys just talked about game 5. But remember, Giannis played in game 4. So you had a chance to even up the series on their home court. You guys didn't do that. Then you come back home, you don't do it. And it's just why were y'all looking so far ahead? Why were y'all looking so far ahead? So right. I think there's just so many failings, and I don't want to hear speeches about all this stuff he said. I don't want to hear it. It's a failure. The season is a failure. You were not a failure, but the season is.
The season is definitely a failure.
Like that question? Natalie, you like that question? Would you ask that question?
Hold on. He invoked Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan would have said, dude, keep my name out your mouth. Go sit your ass down somewhere. Yes, those 9 seasons when I didn't win were a failure. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Failure is necessary a lot of times. To his point, I love the line, it's not failure only steps to success. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think failure is the pathway to success. Failure does not ever have a negative connotation. It does not have to be a defining moment. It does not have to be an indictment. And I wonder how Giannis would look at this if he hadn't already won a championship. But to answer your question, Michael, about the question, I didn't think it was a bad question. And you know, I subscribe to the gospel of John Sawatsky. But I think there are exceptions. And I think you can ask confirm or deny questions. I think you can ask loaded questions. I think you can ask non-neutral questions in certain instances. And I think when you are, again, one of 6 teams now as a 1 seed to lose to an 8 seed, the question, do you think this is a failure, is justified. And he got an answer that was triggering. But again, it was Giannis was triggered, Michael, because failure, unfortunately, for too many people has a negative connotation. Failure is oftentimes necessary. And it wasn't a failure that is at Giannis's feet, in my opinion, because people are talking about his legacy. There's legacy and there's reputation. His legacy is not secure, but it is yet to be written.
Yeah, we don't.
From a reputation standpoint, I don't think this is necessarily a setback. Who this is on is Mike Budenholzer, to a lot of what Natalie was just saying.
Well,
legacy, I just want to say, no, his legacy is still that he's going to be a great player. He's won a championship. He's already going to be a Hall of Famer. But I think that the way that we just, or not we, because I don't, the way that it is thrown out, he is the best player in the NBA and all of this, we got to stop that. There's no more he's the best player in the NBA and all of that, because the best player in the NBA is not giving up the ball to a role player on the team. Let you guess what?
I want to get to that best player thing. I'll just say this. Everything you just said, Michael, you could have set it up, he could have set it up, or anybody could have set it up this way. And how rare of me to agree wholeheartedly with Mark Cuban. That's scary. But number 1 seed to lose to a number 8 seed, given your championship aspirations, how do you now view this? How do you view it?
No, that's the appropriate way to ask the question. Listen, Michael, you know I agree with you, but I don't think it's an absolute rule that you cannot ask confirm or deny questions. And that's the elephant in the room. And I don't know that question in this instance, we don't know, but answering it open-ended, neutral, and lean, as we are taught to do, would have elicited that kind of.
It was lean.
But would it have?
It was lean.
But would it have elicited? Okay, not to go too far into this science, but Michael, this is why people ask those types of questions, because they're oftentimes rewarded accidentally. Would it have elicited the same passionate response got everybody talking today? I don't know, because he may not have.
Given his history. Yes, it would absolutely.
Use the word failure. He may not have used the word. Giannis may not have volunteered failure.
But see, this is a relationship thing here. This is why people stay in bad relationships, because you got a reward for something that's good and you missed out on something that's great because you weren't willing to take the steps to go toward greatness. This dude delivers gems on the regular. So you ask him some bullshit question, you get this response, and now everybody is gone viral, and you think you've done your job. You haven't, Eric. It was whack.
I feel you. And listen, Michael, you and I, we both worship John Sawatsky. But back to Natalie for a second, though.
I'm not
Natalie,
feeling this energy. Go ahead.
But I know that you already had Steph as the best player. So I'm not directing this at you. I'm not directing this at you when I say, let's not all of a sudden look at Giannis like he looking funny in a light, because Giannis had the same flaws coming into this. He needs to get back in the gym. He might be 7 foot whatever, but he's got room to grow when it comes to his game. But I don't think that this. But I don't think this. But okay, all I'm saying to you, Natalie, you can take it from here. I don't think that this series should serve to serve some sort of confirmation bias that Giannis was, I'll use this word, I know you're not saying it, overrated, or that this series is an indictment of Giannis when he missed 3 games. He missed a lot of free throws when it mattered, but he missed 3 games. And you can't lower Giannis and elevate Jimmy Butler at the same time. Yes, it is a zero-sum game. Go ahead, Natalie.
The reason I'm not really persuaded by he only played 2 games is because the one game that they did win was without him. He was there for 2 games. And part of the reason why they lost is because of him. He can't make free throws, right? Or he's not consistent enough at them. Like he was, and when he almost threw the ball out of bounds, it's because he was so worried about getting fouled that he was trying to like overthrow the ball. Chris Middleton saved it, but it's just like, I just don't understand how you can keep overlooking those weaknesses and then calling someone the best player. Like, you're right. They always existed, which is why I never had him as the best player. I had him as a top player, but I didn't have him as the best player. So for me, there is no like
as MVP, if I recall correctly.
No, I had Embiid as the MVP.
I feel like you've made arguments on behalf of Giannis. Like
I think so too. I remember this.
Which, by the way, Natalie, I do think there is a distinction between regular season MVP and that mythical title of best player. So I'm not like, this ain't a gotcha, but I'm just saying I feel like you've given Giannis some love in the past.
Yes,
I remember.
Giannis over Jokic, I said. And also, I'm not saying Giannis is not great. I'm not saying he's 2 or 3. But the way, and I think you and Michael were having a conversation about this the other day, where you were just like, there was a time where you feel like for the last 2 or 3 years, it's been like, Giannis is the best player. And like, you're right. Yeah. That was, I think, largely who people thought. And I used to always get very annoyed by that because I'm just like, okay, what, like, he has these weaknesses in his game. Okay, he lost last year, fine. Everyone said, oh, when he got Middleton back, they were going to come back and do something. Then they come back this year and lose in the first round. I'm just saying that conversation needs to end. There can be no more he's undisputed best player. Like, that needs to be reexamined. I already never had him as that. But to me, I'm like,
well, of course you didn't. I'm just saying. Right. You're not exactly the most objective.
Let's get to it.
I love you, but you're not exactly the most objective.
No one else and other superstars would not get these passes. This whole debate that is happening today about
it ain't a debate
and failure and all this bullshit. Y'all not doing that for Steph. It's probably not happening for LeBron. It's not happening for so many players.
I've just dismissed it. Like, it's a failure. There are 15 teams that's going to fail this year. Again, I say there's nothing wrong with it. He can philosophize about it all he wants. This is a failure. You're the 1 seed. Yes, you were hurt. You lost to the 8 seed. That's a historic failure. But to say that Giannis is disqualified from consideration, well, you didn't say that.
Yes, you said he went out in the first round.
No. Wait, hold on. Wait, I'm saying, I thought you just said that he's no longer the undisputed best player. Are you saying he's disqualified from consideration in the conversation for best player, Natalie?
I don't want to hear his name as the best player, but everybody.
Oh, you tripping now.
Free.
Go ahead, Mike. Mike, where's your Buck shirt today, by the way?
So people are
where's
free
your
to
Buck shirt?
What's that?
Whatever they want, right? Like,
Mike,
this is opinion based.
No Bucks today.
It is.
Come on, you gotta give some love.
Why don't we talk about a player who is actually still playing, who is still in the playoffs, one who should be considered the best player in the world, the one who has dominated the last several years.
I love how you stay on brand.
Look at that.
I love how you stay on brand. Turn that shit off. You know what? Enough of this. You're out of pocket. You're completely out of pocket. You're completely out of pocket.
Holley, what does that tweet say?
Turn that down.
What does that tweet say? Warriors beating the road allegations because
Gary,
I thought someone
turn the music off. Now,
told y'all.
Please.
I thought someone told y'all that the road record was fake. I thought someone told y'all that. I want to hear what y'all are going to say after the series is 2-2, and then they go up 3-2. I want to hear what y'all are going to say. So we're here now. The Warriors are up 3-2 on y'all Kings, and I'm just going to sit back.
So wait a minute.
Okay.
Let me get this straight. Here, Natalie. So Giannis, if he loses in the first round, he is you don't look at him as like the best, but best player is not going to lose in the first round. Did they win the series last night? Did they win the series last night? What if they lose in the first round?
They won the finals last year, and they won multiple.
And he won the finals the year before. 50 points in Game 6. Finals MVP.
Won one final.
Incredible.
He won one finals against, I'm sorry, with all due respect, the Phoenix Suns, who do not even have another top-level player on that team. Really? Come on. He was great.
Chris Paul, Devin Booker. I mean, they had pretty good players.
They're not LeBron. They're not KD. They're not those level of players. He is a great player, and he did a great thing. And I don't even think it's disrespect to say he's second or third best. All I'm saying is I don't want to hear him in the conversation for best, and that's it. That's
but see, but my point is the Warriors did a nice job last night. They really, Draymond Green. Hey, Draymond, you can shoot the ball. It looks pretty good when it goes. You know, when you're shooting it. He had a great game, scoring and passing and defending. Wonderful. But they're up 3-2 on the Sacramento Kings, and there's no guarantee that they're going to win this series. So what's the celebration? Why are you celebrating a road win in the playoffs in the first round?
I was getting night gestures from y'all. I was getting all kinds of taunting when they were up 2-0. So you're going to tell me to temper my enthusiasm?
No. They're gonna close it out in 6, just like I said.
Are they?
They'll close it out in 6 at home.
Okay.
At home, because you never underestimate the heart of a champion. You know, I mean, they had it where they want them all along. All I'm gonna say as we go to break is, look, you're a lawyer by trade. I'm gonna get this wrong. What is it, voir dire? What you call it when you excuse people from the jury because of bias or whatever? That's what it's called, voir dire? What's it called? You didn't answer me? Okay, that you excuse, because we know that you see the world through Steph Curry and rose-colored and Golden State glasses. Giannis is not disqualified from any conversation. Okay, maybe Giannis just don't have a good enough coach. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if Giannis had Steve Kerr, maybe we wouldn't have been having this conversation. Or maybe if Giannis wasn't going against Jimmy effing Butler, how about that? Maybe he'd still be playing if it wasn't for Jimmy effing Butler. But you know what? Go ahead. You can talk your trash.
Jimmy better than Giannis is what you're saying. Jimmy is greater than Giannis.
In the playoffs, Jimmy better than everybody. Jimmy better than your favorite player in the playoffs.
He's definitely disqualified. Sure. He's definitely disqualified.
He is not disqualified. Does Steph play defense like Giannis? Does Steph play defense like Giannis? No.
Yes.
Ooh, these are some rough ones.
Your number 1 overall draft pick, NBA players.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, my favorite player all time is definitely Steph. So, I definitely go with Steph Curry.
Number 1 overall food you would pick to eat for the rest of your life?
Sushi. Definitely sushi.
Tell me your number 1 QB of all time.
I go with Patrick Mahomes. What he's been able to do at the age that he's at, with the experience he has, is, it's already in that. And you can already make the case now. And obviously he has a lot more. A lot more to go in front of him.
Your number 1 pick, any receiver all time to throw to?
I feel like you got to go with Randy Moss. I thought there's nothing.
Throw that hand up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right off the line. TV series to binge.
Rick and Morty, for sure. That's my favorite.
Number 1 all-time movie to watch or rewatch?
Paid in Full, definitely.
I knew I loved you. Oh, we can spend all day just on that. I should have led with that.
I love the game,
what's your favorite?
Man. I love the hustle.
I love the hustle, man. Everybody eats. That's how you play.
Everybody
play like
eats,
everybody eats.
Everybody eats.
Oh my gosh. You are my number 1 quarterback. Mike, I know you love.
Yeah. That's good. That's good stuff right there.
Stroud. I know you love C.J. Stroud. But after the Paid in Full pick as his number 1 movie, I came away convinced that Bryce Young is ready to be the face of a franchise. That's all I know. Mike Jones is here. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm just going to say,
Stroud number 1?
Michaels. I'm just going to say this, Michaels. I'm going to say this. This is what happens. This is what happens, not just at draft time. This is what happens to evaluators. And this is why we need more diversity of thought in those rooms. Because they've been doing the same things for 20 years, 30 years, 35 years. Now, they've come around on quarterback sizes, and that's why Bryce Young is going to be number 1 at just over 5'10". Now, they used to think a quarterback, I need to see a quarterback, he's got to be 6'3", 6'4", and for the most part, he's got he's a pocket guy. They've moved on from that. But they still get caught up in what Michael Smith got caught up in. hey, this guy's got a great personality. He likes his favorite movie is my favorite movie. He's that dude. He's impressive when you talk to him, all that stuff. And they always ignore just production. Production. CJ Stroud, sure. He may not have the charisma that Bryce Young does. He may not tell you that Peyton Fool's his favorite movie. But he's clearly the number one quarterback in this draft. It's not even close. And I'm so glad that he's not going to Carolina because they don't deserve him. They don't deserve him. He's gonna go to a spot that knows how to use him. So go ahead, CJ. Your slide
like Houston?
It's just
like Houston.
Yeah. No, I hope it's not Houston.
no, maybe no.
I hope it ain't Houston.
But Mike, two-part question to you. Is it a lock that Young goes 1? Because I was also reading somewhere, and obviously everything starts coming out toward the end of the draft. Where the Panthers were very impressed with Anthony Richardson, was not to be impressed by. Is it a lock that Young goes 1? And what the hell are the Texans going to do at 2? Because everybody seems to be all over the place. Is it Stroud? Is it a defensive player? I read where they were out on Richardson and Levis. What do you know?
That is the question I have been blowing up the phones all day long today, trying to figure out. And everybody I talk to in the NFL that works in the front office is saying the same thing. They themselves are all wondering what in the world the Texans are going to do at number 2, because then they can plan accordingly. Obviously, they've got plans A, B, and C and everything, but everybody wants to know, and nobody is really sure. It seems like Bryce Young is definitely a lock for number 1. Everybody kind of agrees with that, even though I talked to a lot of Italian evaluators who had, some were split. Some thought that Bryce Young, some thought CJ Stroud. And then the 4 and the 5, whether it was Levis or Hooker, like they kind of flip-flopped on that stuff too. So it's going to be interesting to see how the quarterbacks play out. But really, the Texans are the ones who really start the draft, because if they take Stroud, then things fall into place. You might see some teams desperately jumping up. If they don't, then the phone starts ringing off the hook for the Arizona Cardinals. So we're going to find out. Nobody really knows. Everybody I've checked in has said that they don't know and they want to know. And they're asking me, what are you hearing? Have you heard anything? So find out.
which is why it's my favorite sporting event. But the Texans could be one of those teams calling up for the Cardinals. That's Michael and I's favorite franchise. Not in real life. On Madden. That's our favorite franchise to liquidate their roster. This goes back some 20 years. We're trying to turn around the Cardinals. But the Cardinals need to trade down. They need to accumulate more picks, bring in more volume. They need quantity over quality. So they need to move down. They don't need a quarterback. I've seen speculation about the Texans going up from 12 to get the defensive player, to get Will Anderson at number 3. I've also seen the Titans. So we got an AFC South arms race potentially between the Texans and Titans to get up to number 3, just like the Cardinals would want it. Who's most likely to move up to 3? The Texans after they take who they want at 2, maybe it's a quarterback, maybe a defensive player, or you think the Titans, is that real about the Titans and our guy Rand Carthon, his first draft, going to get an heir apparent for Ryan Tannehill?
I think that the Titans would be the most realistic. I'm still very curious as far as like the Texans, because of the fact that they have 2. One person plugged into the league told me, hey, would the Texans or the Lions, because they both have multiple first-round picks, give the Baltimore Ravens a phone call and be like, hey, come on, Lamar, let's go. Which would throw a huge, level of intrigue and really spike this thing. But if you're talking about jumping up to 3, I do think that the Titans are a team. Then there's going to be other teams who say there's other quarterbacks left that will start scrambling up. One person told me, hey, I've heard that Washington's trying to get up to 7. And a lot of people hadn't even heard that and thought that maybe they might try to trade down. And if Washington's trying to move up to 7, then that means they're trying to get a quarterback, because you're moving up 9 spots. So we'll see. It's a lot of questions, a lot of, rumors and everything flying right now. And it seems like it's taking forever for 8 o'clock to get here.
Mike, let's stick with quarterbacks there. How many quarterbacks do you think will go in the first round? And where's the threshold? Where's the threshold for
the over-under? The betting over-under is 4.5. It's 4.5, by the way, Michael.
Yeah,
I got the over. I got the over on that. betting man.
Where can you not get him anymore? What number are you in the draft where you're like, hey, sorry, we sold out?
I think that 5 is what we could see there. And if you're like in the teens, like 15, 16, after that, I think that you're kind of screwed. Now, we have seen years where guys go on slides. We thought they wouldn't, but it does seem like, okay, they're really realistic that 4 will go and 5 is a really good chance as well. It's hard to get quarterbacks. If you see him now we do know that next year, Caleb Williams is supposed to be really good. Would teams wait for that? But for right now, I think that from what everybody says, 5 is very real possibility.
Yeah, I would want that 5th-year option on a Hendon Hooker. That's the 5th guy that I would see going in the first round. The Bijan Robinson mystery continues to. I continue to be confounded by it because it's like we know running backs don't go early anymore, but he's exceptional. He can be an exception to this rule. I'm having a tough time finding a spot for him to be picked. I've seen a lot of Atlanta. I've seen obviously Philadelphia, as I'm sure you have. It just, again, he's a great player. He might be the best player in the draft. And wherever he goes, I have no doubt that we're going to look back and be like Adrian Peterson. Like, damn, Adrian Peterson went 7, which felt really low after the fact, regardless of who went ahead of him in the first 6. Wherever he goes, it's going to be like, damn, Bijan Robinson went that low? This dude's a Hall of Famer. I get it, but I feel like he's the best player in the draft at the worst position in the draft. And no matter how great he is, there's got to be somebody who's close enough at another position of need to draft that person over a running back, given the shelf life of that position and given how, not just how they come a dime a dozen, but even the depth in this draft at that position. So I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, Michaels, but it's like I love Bijan Robinson, but I don't love him that much. Do these teams in the top 10 love him that much to go against conventional wisdom?
Yeah, that's another real question. I think that the Eagles at number 10 would be the earliest. Now, we just never know. But I'm like you. It's hard when you see these teams that are up there. And again, if there's a quarterback still sitting around that's sliding, Atlanta might do that because I don't think Desmond Ridder is really the answer there. So that's why it's hard for me to see him going higher than the top 10. Eagles make sense because they have a lot of holes that are already filled. They've got veterans at a lot of positions, and they need a strong running game to go along with Jalen Hurts. But again, it's a running back, and it's hard to say.
Is the running game.
I mean, yeah.
Bijan gonna score 3 touchdowns, all from 20 yards out, because they pushing Jalen Hurts in the end zone.
Right, exactly. But you can't keep doing that with him, right? Eventually, you've got to find a way to ease some of this pounding that he's going to take. So maybe you get this guy that everybody thinks is going to be the next great running back.
Yeah, I don't like y'all argument. You know what I mean? I just don't like it. I don't like what you're saying because you're saying something that I don't believe. Okay, there are 2 arguments here, and I've heard it, and both of you have kind of, you've actually directly said it or gone into the neighborhood, and that is, it's running back. It's been a devalued position in some ways. You can get a good one in the 3rd or 4th round. You can get a good one. You can get a top 10.
Even the 2nd.
You can get a top 10 running back in the 2nd round. Can you get the best one though? Can you, I know I can get a good one. I want the best one. If you take out kicker, punter, and long snapper, and you're telling me I'm sitting there, I can get the best player at his position. That player is not a kicker, punter, or long snapper. But his position
matters. Do you need to have the best one? If your goal is to win, okay, the Chiefs just won with a 7th rounder. The Chiefs just won with a 7th rounder. The Eagles had Miles Sanders.
But life would be better if they had a better.
2nd.
Life would be better if they had the best. Yes.
Better than the championship.
But then the thing is this.
Well, Philadelphia didn't only one team.
How long is he going to last?
So Philadelphia. I don't care. How long is anybody gonna last? I don't care. I'm talking about draft strategy. If you give me the opportunity, Mike Jones.
Who were the Rams running backs the year before? Who were the Bucks running backs the year before that? Exactly.
That's different. No, but that's different. What I'm saying to you is, I think we're missing the point. The point is, I've got a chance to get the best player at his position where I'm drafting, and I'm going to start overthinking it because I don't know how long that player is going to last. I don't know how long any player is going to last. And 2, that player's a running back, as if the position doesn't matter. Sure, I can get.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter.
I could get a good running back in the 3rd round, but why would I turn down an opportunity to get the best at a position so I can get the 3rd best tackle, the 5th best cornerback, etc.? That doesn't make sense to me. I want to stack my team with the best possible players at every single position, if possible. If I can do that, why wouldn't I do that?
Yes, you want to do that, but the thing is this, and you're not going to be getting the 5th, have picked between him and the 5th best cornerback, But if you get this guy, you thought that Ezekiel Elliott was going to be a guy that was going to be, a workhorse for a lot of years. Boom. And, after he got paid, he hasn't been anything, the big drop off. So it's hard when you say, okay, if we get a guy who can be in our franchise for 12 years versus a guy who could be, in our franchise for 5 years, and you have a top 10 pick, that's the thing that's really challenging. And then you figure out, okay, we got to pay him, but how much do we pay him? Because, he might not live out this contract. That's where it's a real big dilemma right there. But you have to be really sure that you feel like he's going to be.
Mike, this is what overthinkers do. This is what overthinkers do. No,
I'm guilty as charged.
Hey, listen. On draft day, I'm not thinking about your next contract. I'm not thinking about if I can pay you. The salary cap's going up. If you're really good, I'll pay you. If you're not really good, somebody else will pay you, or you'll go somewhere else. Right now, all I'm trying to figure out is who's the best player. What skills translate from college to the pros? Who's tremendous? Who's terrific? What am I scouting?
And he also may be the best player on the board at that spot. And should you deviate from your board so dramatically, like everybody says the Falcons have an incredibly high grade on Bijan Robinson. Should you deviate from the board in order to take another position? So I hear you on that. But Michael Holley, all I'm saying is I think it's more about where can I get running game production? Does that have to be in the form of one exceptionally great player, or can I get that production, which most teams seem to be doing, by way of committee, which is cheaper?
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree that there are many ways to do it. I'm not saying, you can't get it anywhere else. Bijan Robinson is your only option. If you don't have him, you're screwed. I'm not saying that. I know, whoever passes on Bijan Robinson will be able to run the football, and they'll be able to cobble it together if it comes to that.
Right.
But why do that if you don't have to?
But if you can get a shutdown corner that's going to give you 5-6 interceptions every year, and then you can get a couple running backs to piece that together there. You can't get one cornerback. You can't piece that together. That's why it's just, like Michael Smith was saying, you can piece together your run game and still have, a tandem that'll give you 1,500 yards rushing. Yeah. But maybe Mike, you have a lockdown corner that,
Mike, Mike Jones, I'll spare you the details. It's this type of thinking. This is why I won significantly more Madden championships than Michael Smith when we used to franchise.
It's this type of thinking.
It's this type of thinking that really used to hold him back.
Maybe when you were playing by yourself, I was ahead of the game. In fantasy, I invented zero RB. I just didn't call it zero RB. Fantasy and Madden, I've been ahead of this. Last thing before we let you go, Mike Jones, you got to get back to the phones. Answer either one of these questions. Who's going to shock us tonight? What's the pick? Whether it's the team or the player, we're going to go, oh my God, who saw that coming? Or better yet, what's the craziest thing in your phone right now? What's the craziest rumor? Even if we're not going to hold you to it. We're not going to be like, oh, well, you said this. Just the craziest thing that's been flying around as it gets sillier and sillier as we approach round one that you've heard.
No, it's been really quiet. Again, everybody's trying to figure out what the Texans are going to do, and nobody really knows. The craziest thing was that Washington's trying to jump up to 7 after Ron Rivera had been saying, we believe in Sam Howell, we believe in Sam Howell. And so if they do jump up, it's going to be crazy because they might not be all you've got to give up to get to that spot. They might not be Ron Rivera's picks next year. And then also, who's signing off on this? They don't know who their owner is. So if they do jump up in there, they're saying, like the Rams, F them picks and, go in and get somebody hoping to buy themselves a little more time when, they might be mortgaging the future that isn't even theirs to oversee.
Yeah. All right, big dog. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Enjoy the draft. Thanks for following through. I'm sure this running back conversation will definitely continue tomorrow, wherever Bijan Robinson is picked. Dude's gonna be awesome. But I'm okay with him being awesome for somebody else. That's how I would run the team. Let somebody else buck the trend.
No, you wouldn't.
I am like, you know what? I'll get my 5th round running back who ran for 1,000 yards, and I'll be good with him if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, for example.
And wait till you get him on the podcast. You want to draft him first overall.
100%. Michael and I've been doing this show since the bubble. I feel like it was the bubble. If I had one game to win right now, I pick Jimmy Butler. Speaking of Warriors, I just would pick Jimmy Butler. I'm saying in terms of just like his.
You talking about lock Jimmy Butler or not? Jimmy Butler with the locks or no? Which one?
I'm talking about whatever he wearing in the playoffs. I'm just saying something about this dude.
You just followed up a 56-point performance with 40-plus tonight. If it's not the playoffs, what is it that makes you unstoppable?
My teammates. They need me to be that way right now. I will continue to be that way right now. Whatever it takes to win, it could be 40, it could be 50, it could be 0 and 12 assists. I got to be able to do it all.
Now you get to have some rest before the second round. What's the first thing you're going to do with these next couple days?
I'm going to play with my daughter, man. I love her to death. I miss her. I've been away for a very long time. We're going to get ice cream. We're going to the park. We're doing a lot of different stuff.
So Kurt Helin, just a little proud of my. Damn, dog, where you joining? Where you at? Gotta go. Wait, where you at?
I'm in the backyard. I'm by the pool today. It's a sunny Southern California day. I'm out by the pool.
Oh, I know you had an oasis and a whole damn.
Oh, you got everything.
Vacation.
You got everything.
Yeah.
I'm used to seeing cats running around the kitchen. It's different.
Let me just say this now.
Oh,
marry
man.
right.
Ooh.
The trick is to marry right.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
All right, listen.
You did.
Man, all right.
Wow.
Okay, that's beautiful. So Jimmy Butler. I mean, listen. Conversely, all right. Whereas Giannis, this failure, and you can comment on that as you wish. This failure, to me, does not in any way tarnish his legacy or reputation. Conversely, Jimmy Butler continues to add to a reputation that, championship or not, I think puts him, and this is what I was getting at the other day. We didn't really get that deep into it, Michael, but it's just like, if I'm picking a team and I'm saying like, I need somebody in the foxhole, in the alley, wherever you want to be, and I got to win a game, my guy is going to take and make big shots, guard the other team's best player, get steals, get blocks, talk shit in the process. I mean, he will do whatever is necessary to win in a way that you just kind of like know that guy when you see it. You know, and whether that guy has a bunch of rings or not, he's just a big time player that seizes big time moments. And I feel like he continues to develop and grow a legendary legacy in a way that does not have to end in a championship, and now just add an 8-1 upset out of the play-in tournament to that resume. Am I making sense?
Absolutely. I think, the most amazing part, and you kind of touched on this, is, look, how many times have we talked about Durant or Kawhi or LeBron in his peak, and we're like, well, all right, he's carrying so much offensive load. On the defensive end, we got to hide him a little bit. We got to let him rest covering some guy who's just standing at the arc. Not Jimmy. Jimmy's out there. Like, who do we need guarded? We need Giannis covered. I got it. You need Middleton, Holiday, whatever you need, whoever we need to stop, I'll be on that guy, and then I'll go take charge of the offense. That level of commitment, but also, guys, that level of conditioning, the physical condition he's in to handle that is unbelievable.
Yeah, especially when he does those post-game press conferences in the tank. Be like, dude, put your shirt back on. Put your shirt on. Like, this is just like, it's so unfair what you're doing right now. He'll flex a muscle a couple of times as he answered the question. I asked Jim Trotter this the other day, Kurt, and Mike, you can weigh in on this too, because I'm just trying to think of that perfect person and I can't find it. I'm looking for a Jimmy Butler comp Jimmy Butler is a really good NBA player. I mean, he's been an all-NBA guy. He's a multiple all-star who goes to a different level in the playoffs. And I can't think of anybody else like that, especially in basketball, who's this thing in the regular season and then just becomes like one of the Avengers in the postseason. Can you think of anybody?
The only guy, and it's a tarnished reputation a little bit right now, Kawhi kind of has a little of that, where he's just, if he gets the playoffs healthy, but he kind of still does it in the regular season. But if he gets the playoff right, he kind of rises up a little bit. But it's not quite the same level. Like, he doesn't jump. When he plays in the regular season and healthy, he's really good. And Butler's going to be all NBA. But Butler really does have like 2 or 3 more gears that he just finds.
Right. So,
and why? Real quick.
Oh,
a quick follow-up. I'm going to ask. The most amazing stat was not 56 to me. 56 for Jimmy Butler in Game 4 and 42 in Game 5. More amazing, and this blows my mind, he was double-teamed 7 times. There were 7 times throughout the series. He was in the whole series. Yeah. He was double-teamed 7 times. 4 of them came last night. They kept putting Drew Holiday on him. Giannis checked him maybe once or twice, but not really. What the hell? Is that on Giannis? Is that on Coach Bud? Is that on both of them? That's just malpractice, if you ask me.
For my money, it's on Bud. If Bud completely outcoached in this series, completely outcoached by Eric Spoelstra, right down to the last 4 minutes of last night when they said, you know what we're going to start doing? We're going to start running through the offense through Bam at like the top of the key and the nail. He's been hitting that shot now, and you're going to just single cover Butler. We're going to have him back cut off of a pick, and you're not going to switch it. And even if you do, we're going to be okay. Like, every move Spoelstra made anticipated what Bud was going to do. But Bud, let's be honest, Bud's got to double, but he got stuck in a few things in this game, in this series, where he's got that Popovich, I'm going to make you adjust to me thing, and that works great until it doesn't work.
Yeah. The Bucks are going to have to adjust holistically. Yeah. They may not adjust in game very well, if at all, but they need to adjust holistically this offseason. They got some soul searching to do. Heat Knicks. We went all this time and we ain't talked about the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks are in the second round for the first time in a decade. But why stop there? This is not me going now and underestimating Jimmy Butler, okay? But this is the 8th seed without Tyler Hero, which makes the collapse by the Bucks all that more embarrassing and more of a failure. The Knicks, who would have thought that Mitchell Robinson was going to be the best big in a series against the Cavs? The way that Jalen Brunson is playing, is this? I don't see the Knicks as one and done. I see them as that post headline, like the one team nobody really wants to play right now.
Yeah, the crazy thing about that series too, and it would worry me if I'm a Cavs fan, the Knicks just played harder. They just played harder every game. They wanted it more. They played with more urgency. They played with more desperation, even last night, when you would think the Cavs would play with incredible desperation. Not really.
Right.
And I'm with you. I by the way, I'm loving the 90s throwback. Miami versus New York.
Oh, yes.
2 kind of grinding physical teams. Man, this is going to be...
Give me both Van Gundys. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be so much fun. Yeah, and by the way, Celtics 76ers in the other world, so we might as well be in like 1997.
Is it definitely the Celtics? Michael, hold on. Is it? Are we sure?
Hey, listen, here's the question. Here's the only thing. Is it Celtics in 6 or is it Celtics in 7? I'm not worried about the Celtics, Michael and Kurt, in this series. I'm worried about them, though, big picture. They're immature. They are an immature basketball team that lacks focus and toughness. And eventually, look, those teams don't win championships.
Yeah, you probably want one of those at least.
No.
A team with that profile doesn't. You agree, Kurt?
Unlike Doc Rivers, I'm going to get this quote right. They went out and played with their food, right? Like, they went out and didn't take that closeout game seriously. and got her. Hey, Trae Young did. And by the way, that credit to Trae Young. The Celtics were horrible and sloppy at the end of that, but that is the best game on both ends I maybe have ever seen Trae Young play. He actually made defensive plays in that game. But the way they got sloppy, the way they just weren't focused from the start, the way they kind of like, we're up by 10 or 12, that's going to be good enough. You're right. That's not what a championship team does. And by the way, thanks for giving Joel Embiid a couple more days off. Make sure he's healthy, because that's the one guy who can really, really wreck your plans.
Mike, check out this stat. Listen to this stat real quick, then I'll just pass to you.
Yeah.
The Celtics, if they had won that game, if they had won Game 5 versus Atlanta, they had a situation where they wouldn't have to get on a plane or leave town for 11 straight days.
Wow.
Win that 11 days. And instead of that, now they put themselves in a situation where they might be playing a Game 7. Now, if they get to a Game 7 at the Garden, I think they'll win by 30 points. But look, this could have been avoided. You could have gone out in Boston on Tuesday night and had a great time. And now you're in Atlanta on Thursday.
That brings me to the last thing I wanted to hit with you, Kurt, before we run out of time. Both of you guys, do the Grizzlies force the Game 7?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kurt. You got it.
That was guaranteed. That was guaranteed by Bane.
Yeah. Well, are his guarantees better than Barkley's? Do we trust his more than? You know what? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say you're going to get LeBron. But for the same reason the Celtics got to close it out in 6, the Lakers, especially at home, don't invite chaos to the party. Don't turn this into an NCAA tournament one game. Oh my gosh, suddenly Aldama's hitting 6 threes type of night. Mm-hmm. You can't risk it. You've got to close it out at home. Plus, they're every other day now in these series. Lakers look tired. They do. They better close it out now, because if they get to a Game 7 and another on Sunday in Memphis, that's bad for them.
We were talking about Giannis's being a Greek philosopher. Did I see Darvin Ham say something like, nobody thought we were going to be here, there ain't no pressure? Did I see that? I read that right? Did he say that? There ain't no pressure? Bro, you know which team you coach? You know what franchise, right. You know what players you have? Like, come on, bro.
I love Darvin, but Darvin, if there's a cliche, Darvin has it, man.
Hey, how many pets do you have is the question, Kurt Helin.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.